Okay, so we've all been there,
Right.
stuck in those like what ifs and self-doubt.
Yeah,
It's kind of like our brains just have this negativity button on repeat.
it really is.
But what if I told you there are some actually practical ways
Oh, yeah.
to just hit pause on that
I
negativity
love that. Hit pause.
and actually shift your mindset?
Yeah.
You sent over a ton of really cool resources for this, research papers, blog posts,
Yes.
even some case studies,
Yeah.
all about rewiring our thinking for the better.
Exactly.
So think of this as like your deep dive into the science of just a happier brain.
I love it. And, it's not just about, like, feeling good. It's about your well-being.
Yeah, for sure.
The American Psychological Association actually found a strong link between persistent negativity and, like, some serious stuff. Higher stress, anxiety, even depression.
Yeah.
It's like those negative thoughts become this roommate who never pays rent
Oh my gosh, I love that.
and just trashes the place.
Yeah, that is such a good visual. Okay, before we evict all those negative thoughts, right, let's define them. It's more than just having a bad day, right?
Absolutely.
Like, what are we really talking about here?
Yeah, so think of them as, like, these recurring patterns, right?
Right.
Almost like a default setting in your brain.
Oh, that makes sense.
So they kind of pop up automatically,
Yeah.
and without even realizing it,
Yeah.
they can really color how you see, like, everything.
So it's not even just the thought itself, it's like the ripple effect it has on your whole outlook.
Exactly. And researchers have even, like, given these negative thought patterns some, like, really descriptive names, which I think is really helpful.
Yeah.
So, like, catastrophizing.
Oh, yeah.
Your brain goes straight to worst case scenario. So picture this, right?
Okay.
You spill your coffee, and you're instantly convinced that you're going to be fired.
Oh my gosh, yes. I know that one well.
Yeah.
My brain loves to do that.
Our brains love to play what's the absolute worst that could happen, like on a loop.
Yes, exactly.
Another common one is like overgeneralizing,
Okay.
where one bad experience becomes the blueprint for your entire life.
Oh, sure.
So one bad date
Right.
equals forever alone.
Mm. Oh, that one stings a bit.
Yeah,
But I think, we got to be realistic here.
absolutely.
We're not aiming for a life that's completely void of any negative thought, right?
It's not the goal.
Like, that's not possible.
And honestly, like, some negativity can be useful.
Right.
It's about recognizing those thoughts,
Yeah.
understanding that they might not actually be facts,
Okay.
and having tools to manage them.
Okay, so it's less about thought police and more about thought management.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's talk tools then. One of the strategies you highlighted is something called cognitive reframing,
Yes.
which sounds very fancy. Break that down for us. What's the gist?
Yeah, so think of it as hitting like the edit button on those like automatic negative thoughts.
Yeah.
It's a core part of something called cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT for short.
Okay.
And it's all about like consciously choosing a more balanced,
Okay.
helpful perspective.
I can see how that would be useful. How do you actually do it?
Yeah.
It seems a little abstract.
Yeah, so one really practical tool is something called the ABC model.
Okay.
It's like a roadmap for reframing.
I love a good roadmap. Let's navigate.
Okay.
Okay.
So A stands for the activating event.
Okay.
So the situation that triggers the thought.
Okay. So in our coffee spilling example,
Yeah,
the spilled coffee is the activating event.
exactly.
Got it.
Perfect.
Right.
B is your belief.
Okay.
So the negative thought itself.
So in this case, I'm so clumsy, I'm going to get fired.
Right.
Okay. So A triggers B, which is that whole spiral.
Mm-hmm.
What about C?
C is the consequence.
Okay.
So the emotions
Wow.
that follow the belief.
So maybe it's anxiety, panic, shame, all of those things.
Yes, yes.
Okay. I get the ABCs of breaking it down.
Uh-huh.
But how does this actually help us reframe?
So by examining and changing the B,
Okay.
the belief, you can actually change the C, the consequence.
Oh, so it's about editing the middle part of the story, and that changes the ending.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
So instead of, I'm so clumsy, I'm going to get fired.
Right.
Maybe it's, oops, I spilled coffee. It happens. I'll clean it up and move on.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this is so powerful. Like, you're taking control of the narrative
Exactly.
instead of letting the negative thoughts just run the show.
Yeah, you become like, the editor of your own mental movie.
I love that. Okay.
Right.
So cognitive reframing is like we're becoming the editors of our own mental movie.
Yes.
What other strategies can we add to our toolbox?
Okay. So let's talk about something that might sound a little cheesy at first, but stay with me.
Okay.
Positive affirmations.
I have to admit, I'm a little skeptical about those.
I get it. I get it.
Are they really as effective as, like, people claim?
They can be, but it's all about understanding, like, the why behind them.
Okay.
So positive affirmations, they're like motivational posters, but for your brain.
Okay.
They're short, intentional statements
Got it.
designed to kind of challenge negative beliefs
Yeah.
and promote like a more positive self-image.
So it's like intentionally planting positive seeds in your mental garden.
Exactly.
Okay.
And there's actually some really cool research from social cognitive and affective neuroscience to back this up.
Okay, so it's not just wishful thinking.
No.
There's some brain science behind it.
Yeah, it turns out that affirmations can actually activate the reward centers in your brain,
Wow.
boosting feelings of self-worth and reducing stress.
Okay, so they actually like
Yeah.
physically do something.
They do. But here's the catch.
Okay.
The most effective affirmations are personally meaningful and realistic. Right. So it's not about denying challenges or pretending everything's perfect.
Right.
It's about shifting your inner dialogue
Okay.
towards a more positive
Yeah.
and supportive tone.
Okay, so for example, if I was struggling with self-doubt,
Yeah,
I might say something like, I am capable and deserving of success.
exactly.
Okay.
It's about choosing affirmations that directly address your specific challenges
Got it.
and help you build like a more positive and
Yeah.
resilient mindset.
Okay, that makes sense. So with cognitive reframing, we're editing the negative thoughts.
Uh-huh.
With affirmations, we're introducing positive ones.
Exactly.
I like it. What else you got?
Oh, okay. So let's talk about mindfulness.
Oh, mindfulness. Everyone's talking about it these days.
I know.
What's all the hype about?
Right.
And how does it actually help with negative thoughts?
So mindfulness is about paying attention to the present moment without judgment.
Okay.
Okay, so imagine sitting by a stream, right?
Right.
And watching the water flow by.
You notice like the leaves, the ripples, the sunlight,
Uh-huh.
but you don't try to like change the water or judge it.
Right.
You just observe it.
So it's like being a curious observer of your own thoughts and feelings.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting because research shows that mindfulness practices can actually increase what's called cognitive flexibility,
Oh, okay.
which basically means that you're better at responding to challenges in a more constructive way.
Okay. So instead of getting swept away in a torrent of negative thoughts, you're more able to kind of observe them without getting soaked.
I love that analogy. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. And one specific mindfulness technique that's particularly helpful for this is called thought labeling.
Thought labeling. Okay.
It's super simple, okay?
Yeah.
As you notice thoughts popping up, you just give them a label.
Okay.
For example, you might have the thought, I'm not good enough,
Right.
and you simply label it self-doubt.
So you're not trying to push the thought away.
You're not trying to argue with it.
Yeah.
You're just acknowledging it and putting it in a category.
Exactly.
Okay, I get the labeling part, but does that actually change anything?
So studies have shown that thought labeling can actually reduce the intensity of negative thoughts.
Okay.
It's like you're taking away their power by simply acknowledging them and moving on.
So it's like you're saying, oh, hey, worry, I see you there.
Exactly.
Moving on.
Exactly.
Okay, that's cool. So with cognitive reframing, we're editing our thoughts.
Uh-huh.
With positive affirmations, we're introducing positive ones.
Right.
And with mindfulness, we're learning to observe those thoughts without getting totally hooked by them.
You got it. It's all about shifting our relationship
Okay.
with those pesky negative thoughts and taking control of our mental well-being.
I'm already feeling more empowered just hearing about these techniques.
Yeah.
But before we go any further, I think it'd be really great to hear some like real life examples.
Yes.
You mentioned that you came across some case studies about how these techniques play out in the real world.
Yes, absolutely.
What did you find?
One of the most inspiring ones was about a person who used cognitive reframing to overcome like really intense self-doubt. They were constantly second-guessing themselves and holding back from going after what they wanted.
I think a lot of people can relate to that. It's crazy how much self-doubt can really hold you back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But this person, they worked with a therapist, and they learned to actually identify those negative thought patterns and challenge them.
Okay.
They started to see challenges as opportunities for growth,
Yeah.
and the results were incredible.
Wow.
They ended up achieving things they never thought possible.
That's amazing. It really shows that we don't have to be victims of our own negative thoughts.
You don't.
What about case studies on affirmations? Anything interesting there?
One that stood out was about this group of people who were feeling stuck in their careers, like lacking motivation and direction.
Career slumps are the worst.
They're no fun.
Yeah.
So they started to incorporate daily affirmations into their routines,
Okay.
focusing on statements like, I am capable of achieving my career goals,
Right.
and I am worthy of success.
Okay.
And get this, within a couple of months, they were reporting feeling more confident, more motivated,
Wow.
and they actually started to see positive changes in their work lives.
It's like those affirmations help them create like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, exactly. It really highlights the power of intentionally shifting your inner dialogue.
Yeah.
And then finally, there was this really compelling study about mindfulness and worry.
Worry. Big visitor in my mind.
Yeah, mine too. Mine too.
Tell me more.
So this study had people participate in this mindfulness-based stress reduction program.
Okay.
They learned different techniques, including thought labeling.
Right.
And the results were pretty remarkable.
What kind of results did they see?
The people who consistently practiced thought labeling experienced a significant decrease in their overall worry symptoms.
So just labeling those anxious thoughts helped them detach and like reduce their anxiety.
Exactly. It shows how powerful mindfulness can be, even for something as pervasive as worry.
I love that we've grounded these strategies in real-world examples because it's one thing to understand the science,
Absolutely.
but it's another to see them actually working
Yeah.
in real people's lives.
It makes it feel so much more attainable and inspiring.
It really does. Okay, this has been a fantastic start to our deep dive.
Yes.
We've explored the power of cognitive reframing, positive affirmations, mindfulness, and we've even seen how these techniques have helped people overcome real challenges and create positive change.
Yes.
I'm ready to put all this knowledge into practice.
I know, me too. In the next part of our deep dive, we're going to get even more hands-on and try out some of these techniques together in real time. It's going to be a really fun and insightful experience.
Sounds great. Can't wait. Welcome back to our deep dive into practical strategies for shifting your mindset. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From cognitive reframing and positive affirmations to the power of mindfulness and thought labeling.
Yes.
We've really laid the groundwork,
We have.
and now it's time to actually put these techniques into practice.
I love it.
Are you ready for a little mindset workout?
I am. Let's do it.
Okay, let's get those mental muscles working.
Okay.
Let's start with cognitive reframing.
Okay.
Remember, this is all about hitting that edit button on those negative thoughts
Right.
and choosing a more helpful perspective.
Yes. And we've got that handy ABC model to guide us.
Yes, the activating event,
Yes.
the belief,
Uh-huh.
and the consequence.
Exactly.
So let's say you're stuck in traffic, already running late.
Oh, yeah.
What's the first negative thought that just pops into your head?
Oh, gosh. Probably something like, this is a disaster. I'm going to be so late. Everyone's going to be furious with me.
Yes, okay, there's your B,
Uh-huh.
the negative belief.
The negative belief, right?
Now let's break it down using the ABC model.
Okay.
What's the A, the activating event
Yes.
that triggered this whole thought?
Okay, so the activating event in this case would be being stuck in traffic.
Being stuck in traffic,
Yeah,
okay?
okay.
Now let's examine that.
Oh,
B,
Okay.
the belief that everyone will be furious.
Right.
Is that actually a fact?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
When I really think about it, I don't know for sure that everyone will be furious.
Right,
Maybe some people will understand.
right, exactly.
Right.
So just by questioning the thought
Yeah.
reveals that maybe that's not true.
It reveals its assumptions. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, got
So
it.
now let's move on to see the consequence.
Okay.
How does that negative belief that everyone will be furious
Yeah.
make you feel?
Stressed, anxious,
Yes.
a little bit guilty even?
Makes sense, right?
Okay.
So now comes the fun part, reframing.
Okay.
Let's replace that negative B
Yeah.
with a more realistic thought.
Okay.
What's another way to view this situation?
Instead of assuming everyone will be furious, I could think, okay, I'm doing my best to get there. If I'm a little late, I'll apologize and explain what happened.
I love that's a much calmer perspective.
Right.
And notice how this shift in belief
Yeah.
changes the C, the emotional consequence.
Yeah.
How do you feel now?
I feel less panicked, more in control.
Yes.
It's kind of a relief to remember that I can handle this,
Yeah.
even if it's not ideal.
Exactly. That's cognitive reframing in action.
Yeah.
By simply changing how we think about a situation,
Yeah.
we can change our emotional experience.
I'm really starting to see how powerful this could be for like
Yeah.
even everyday situations.
Even everyday situations, and it's like building a mental muscle.
Yeah.
The more we use it, the stronger it gets.
Right. Okay.
So now let's move on to positive affirmations.
Okay.
And try a little exercise. Are you ready?
Absolutely. I'm curious to see how this feels.
Okay, so remember,
Yeah.
positive affirmations are those short positive statements. that you repeat to yourself to challenge those negative beliefs and boost your self-confidence.
Right, but we want to choose affirmations that feel personally meaningful and realistic.
Yes, exactly.
Not just like some generic thing.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So for this exercise, I want you to think about an area of your life where you tend to struggle with self-doubt or negative self-talk.
Okay.
Could be your work, relationships, creativity, anything that comes to mind.
I definitely struggle with negative self-talk around, like, creative projects.
Okay.
I often doubt my ideas.
Yeah.
And I worry about failing before I even start.
That's so common.
Yeah.
And it's the perfect opportunity for a positive affirmation.
Okay.
So what is a short, positive statement that directly challenges that belief? Something that feels empowering and true for you.
How about, I am creative, my ideas are valuable, and I have the courage to bring them to life.
I love that. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Now close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath.
Okay.
And repeat that affirmation to yourself a few times, really letting the words sink in.
Okay, close his eyes and repeats. I am creative, my ideas are valuable, and I have the courage to bring them to life.
How does that feel?
It feels surprisingly powerful.
Yeah.
It's like this little boost of confidence and encouragement. I can actually feel my body relaxing a bit.
That's amazing. That's the power of affirmations at work.
Wow.
They may seem simple,
Yeah.
but with repetition, they can start to shift those deeply ingrained negative patterns.
I am definitely adding this.
Okay.
Now, as you sit here, simply notice any thoughts that come into your awareness.
Okay.
Don't try to change them or judge them. Just observe them.
Closes eyes and takes a few deep breaths. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm noticing a thought about all the things I need to get done today. It's making me feel a bit overwhelmed.
Okay, so simply label that thought.
Okay.
What category does it fall into? Is it worry, planning, remembering something else?
It's definitely a mix of worry and planning.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You've just labeled the thought. Now just gently let it go.
Okay.
And continue to observe any other thoughts that arise, labeling them without judgment.
Okay, I'm noticing a thought about that delicious lunch I had earlier.
Okay.
I'll label that pleasant memory.
Nice.
Oh, and there's that thought about my to-do list again. Worry planning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
Just keep observing and labeling, noticing how simply naming the thought creates a little bit of space between you and the thought itself. It's amazing. It's like the thought loses its power when I just acknowledge it and let it pass by.
It does. That's the magic of mindfulness.
Wow.
It helps us become more aware of our thoughts and less reactive to them.
Yeah.
With practice, it can be incredibly freeing.
This is so cool. It's like I'm learning to be the boss of my own mind.
You are, and that's a powerful skill to have.
That's amazing.
And this is just a taste of what mindfulness can offer. There's so many other techniques to explore.
This has been such an incredible experience. We
Yeah.
didn't just talk about these techniques.
Right.
We actually got to try them out.
We did. It's amazing how quickly we can start to feel the benefits when we put these strategies into practice.
It's really cool.
But our mindset journey doesn't end here.
What else do we have to look forward to? I'm ready for more.
So in the next part of our deep dive, we'll explore some tips and tricks for making these techniques a sustainable part of your everyday life. Because the real magic happens when we integrate these practices into our daily routines.
That makes sense. Okay, I can't wait.
Yeah.
This is already feeling like a game changer for my mental well-being. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into practical strategies to shift your mindset.
Yes.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
Exploring cognitive reframing, positive affirmations, and even trying out some of those mindfulness techniques like thought labeling.
I know, right?
Yeah.
We didn't just talk about the science.
Yeah.
We actually got to feel those benefits firsthand.
I know. It's amazing how quickly we can just shift our perspective.
It is.
When we have the right tools.
Absolutely.
It feels like a game changer.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about making these techniques stick.
Okay.
Because, you know, life gets busy, life gets distracting.
It does.
What are some strategies to help us integrate these practices into our everyday routines?
That's the key question, isn't it? It's like learning a new language. Consistency is everything. Right.
So one strategy that I find really helpful is to create what I call a mindset toolkit.
A mindset toolkit. I love that. What does that look like?
So think of it as your like personal collection of go-to strategies.
Yeah.
For those moments when you feel negativity like creeping in.
Okay.
It's like a first aid kit for your mind.
Okay, so if overthinking is the injury,
Yes.
this toolkit has all the bandages and antiseptics.
Yes, exactly.
I love it.
So it might include, like, your favorite affirmations written on sticky notes,
Right.
a playlist of calming music,
Yeah.
a quick breathing exercise that you can do anywhere, or even just a reminder to ask yourself, like, is this thought helpful?
Right, so just having that readily accessible toolkit
Yes,
seems like it would make it that much easier to just choose a positive response in the moment.
absolutely.
What else can we do to really make these techniques stick?
Don't underestimate the power of small, consistent actions.
You don't need to dedicate like hours each day to these practices.
Okay.
Even just a few minutes of mindfulness each morning,
Hmm.
a quick affirmation before like a challenging meeting,
Right.
or consciously reframing one negative thought a day can make a world of difference over time.
It's like building any new habit.
Yeah.
Small steps.
Small steps.
Consistency
Mhm.
and celebrating those wins along the way.
Yes,
I hear ya.
exactly.
Okay.
And be patient with yourself.
Yeah.
Just like you wouldn't expect to run a marathon after one day of training.
Right.
Don't get discouraged if you have days where those negative thoughts seem louder.
Oh, yeah.
It's all part of the process.
It's a relief to hear that.
It is.
Because some days it does feel like those negative thoughts have, like, a much louder megaphone.
They might, but remember,
Yeah.
you have the power to adjust the volume.
Oh, I love that.
You're the one in control of your mind,
Yes.
not the other way around.
This has been such an empowering experience. We've
Uh,
explored the science.
We have...
We've felt those benefits firsthand.
Uh-huh.
And now we have practical strategies to actually make these techniques a part of our lives.
I know, it's been so incredible to witness like your enthusiasm and openness to trying these strategies.
Of the thing.
Remember, you have everything you need to shift your mindset and create a more positive and fulfilling experience.
I'm walking away with a renewed sense of hope
Good.
and a whole toolkit of strategies
Yes.
to manage those pesky negative thoughts.
You got it.
Thank you so much for this insightful deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all of our listeners out there,
Yes.
thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the power of mindset.
Yes.
Remember, you are capable of amazing things.
Absolutely.
Now go out there and create the life you deserve.